Hello, here we are again, Anna and myself, Sabina. Some weeks after we recorded our winter podcast, here we are again, recording spring podcast. And we talk a lot about transformation, and I can tell you, between our last meeting, Anna had her leg in a cast, and I was off sick for a longish time. And here we are, totally, Anna's on recovery. I am no longer sick and have new beginnings in front of me, which is super exciting.
Hello! Thank you for the nice introduction, Sabina. It's so nice. Today is Friday. When I look outside, it's quite grey. But today we already had sun. It was grey, it was raining. We had a little bit of snow today in the early morning, and it looks like a nice April day, like a real spring.
Yes.
And this is
everything in one day.
What kind of association do you have with spring? What's come in your mind?
What springs to my mind when I think about spring is longer days. Chocolate, Easter.
Chocolate. What I have is the bird song.
Ah, yes.
I really love it.
Yes.
Every day when I wake up, it's this is the most beautiful sound. The bird song, and also the snowdrops.
The spring flowers.
Yeah, the flowers come out, and also the color. This is spring for me.
Yes, yes, it's amazing. And when we were, going for a walk in the woods some weeks ago, everything was very beige this year, because we haven't had a lot of rain, so everything was very dry. And then now suddenly you go out into the woods and everything you have this green sheen in places, and you see a light green haze, and there's the color. It's like switching from black and white to technicolor. And that's the most fantastic thing, moving from beige to color.
Spring is connected to element air, and at the moment I started a new series with paintings, and it's about color. Yeah. And it's all every day I'm just looking at the sky and just try to focus to catch the color from the sky, and I'm every time when I take a picture or something, I'm not satisfied, because this color what I see in the sky, it's not the color what I see on display. Yeah. And I try to take it with me and paint it, and it's just such a nice feeling to transform it, to collect the colors, all the colors of the clouds and sky, and just bring it together and create a painting.
Yeah. Yes, because during our last podcast we spoke about winter and its associated element of earth, and following now the cues from nature, basically like nature, like we were just describing, the winter slumber, all the trees were beige and grey and looked so dead. And we were in our winter slumber, we were in our very earthed, very cozy, protected space. And now we've woken up, and we've woken from being very quiet and going very deep within. And now, like all the trees and the shrubs, we burst forth with renewed vigor.
Absolutely. I really love the spring, because it's time of the new beginning, and we are living our beloved winter stability, and everything's changed, and the last months we spent a lot of time indoors, and now it's time to go outside to we can go in the nature more and enjoying the sun or the good weather also. And it's very exciting because of the new what's coming. And but sometimes we realize that this is the new, everything's changed, but we are still heavy from winter. And it's not about because we still need to have a lot of clothes, but also we have a little bit of winter fat or whatever.
We're still a bit sluggish.
We are a little bit sluggish, and we are not so flexible, not so
vital. We don't feel the vitality.
This is a transformation time, so this is the change and growth happen, and just as nature needs time for the colors and vitality, so we do.
So meteorologically, the spring starts on the equinox on the 21st of March. The Celtic spring, Imbolc, started already on the 2nd of February. And this year it was quite incredible because on the 2nd of February and early February we really had nice weather.
Yeah.
And spring was true to itself. You know, we had warm weather. I was sitting, well, that was more early March. I was sitting on the balcony in shorts and a t-shirt because it was so warm. About 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
For 2-3 weeks it was super warm already, which was really, really nice. So that meant we had cold nights, but we had really warm sunny days. So everything was in bloom, the crocuses, the snowdrops, the forsythia, all the buds were appearing, and you know, everybody was outdoors. People, I can see, overlook a little park, and everybody was outside. Having picnics and just being so happy to wear lighter clothes. And already here also, I mean, I know in England people wear shorts all the time, but even in the winter, but here not so. But even in early March, people were wearing some shorts because it was so beautiful and warm. So now we're in April, and April is fooling us, as April does, and is leading us back into a bit of winter coldness. But nature and also we, because we are nature, we've become unstoppable, and we are turning, you know, the sluggishness is leaving us, and we are turning into renewed vigor, and we want to go outside, and we want to re-engage with everything. And new cycles begin, new beginnings. And just like the trees and nature, we have also grown a little during the last year, right? We have had lots of experiences. I mean, blimey, both of us very different, but we had lots of experiences which are etched into us. We've become wiser a little, right? A little. And we've had time to heal, and we've had time and still have time getting back on an even keel. And we figure out where we want to go next on our journey. And now is the time to stride out again. And new adventures, new challenges await us. And funnily enough, that is exactly what is happening to both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so fascinating because it's mostly like this. When we get the first warm days, we feel so excited. And we just want to be immediately in summer. Yes. I mean, it's always like because of the lack of the sun and because it was so cold and whatever, you would like to just jump directly in summer, and we want to go out, we make picnics. But the April brings the cold days again, and we need to be patient. We need to be here and now and don't think about summer, because
Yeah.
summer will come.
Yeah.
But it takes time, and
Yes.
the nature needs time for the growth, for the change, and this is a very stable process. And I think spring is also this time what show us also that the change, it's maybe not comfortable, but it's something what is really, really positive. And it's not about to think about the summer.
No.
It's about to be here and now and enjoy every moment, because we will be always on the journey, and it doesn't matter if we are in winter, spring, summer or autumn. It's about being here and now. And
Yeah, and that's so important that you refer to the here and now, because being in the present moment is what is most important. We could say, oh, it was so cozy in the winter, or oh, it was so nice what happened there, and then, oh, I wish I was back last year, or whatever. Or we dwell in the future, we say, oh, I can't deal with this cold weather anymore, or I'm racing forward, but I'm never in the here and now. And being in the here and now is actually, for us human beings, is the most important lesson that you can learn, is to really, really acknowledge, okay, I am here and I am here now, and it doesn't matter what was yesterday or just a minute ago. It doesn't matter what is coming next minute or in 2 days or in 2 weeks. All that matters is to be present.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you have, obviously, through your painting, it's a great way to be present through your creativity.
Absolutely. Actually, also when I think about the painting, it's during the winter time, because of my accident, and because I couldn't be in my studio and I couldn't work physically, I started to work digital. And so it's a different medium. It's really interesting to have at the moment both painting in my studio and painting digital. And when I paint digital, it's really like air, because it's not really to be here and now for me. When I go to my studio and I work physical on my painting, I'm very present. I'm here and now. I'm very aware of what I do. It's a very intense process, and I use my whole body, so it's I'm very present. But when I work digital, it's completely different way of thinking, because I know I can actually change everything every time. It's unlimited. I have a lot of space. And when something doesn't work, I can delete it, whatever. So it's actually very, very nice. But it's also a process to use this kind of freedom.
Yeah, well, it gives you the flexibility, and this is another important thing about the element of air and spring, is that we, like we just said, the weather changes. In April we have hail, we have sunshine, so you're thinking, oh, what do I wear? I have to wear layers. And for you, that's like digital painting. You can delete the last line, you can delete a line you did maybe 3 movements before. You can be very flexible.
Yeah, but it's also, I think it's also really important to, whatever, it doesn't matter what you do in your life, it's always important just to have something what give you the air, what give you just the flexibility, or just something where you can play your own playground, where you just having fun doing things and don't think about, oh, I can do it because, and to just be thinking out of the box, and just be open of new possibilities. And I found it in the digital painting, but it's for everyone is different also, and I think it's also the springtime. It's a nice time to start something new, and when we look around, there are many different beginnings.
Yes.
And it's not only one beginning, and it's also about thinking we will build some bridges.
Yes.
And also now, today, when we're talking about the spring and about the element air, and actually this is our second podcast, second conversation about spring and element air. Last year we did it in German.
Yes.
And it was because we had the possibility to make it for the CAP podcast.
Yes.
And today the situation changed completely.
Totally.
We are somewhere else.
We are different. Also, we've grown. You know, we're a little wiser. We're a little wiser, or you know, we're different. We've become different because we've had so many. I mean, oh my God! When I think back to last year, this time, and where we are now, it's so different.
Yeah. And this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is beautiful because this is the transformation, and we went through the 4 elements.
Yes.
We are again in the same season, connected to the same element, but we see
growth and
growth.
transformation.
Yeah, and last year when we had the conversation, it was also like with spring. I was so excited about it, and I had also so much fear about the conversation, and I wrote everything very, very
thorough. You prepared thoroughly, yeah.
But I was so...
You were stuck.
I was stuck.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was good. But it was necessary. And when I start also to work on the painting series, I was so excited, and I get so many ideas. It was like falling in love. It was something new. It was something what gives me just a lot of energy, and brought me many ideas, and I contacted new people. I learned a lot of new stuff, and I was like flying a little bit. And I made a lot, but it was not so grounded. Today it feels like really enjoy the springtime, and I'm grateful with the blessings of every day, and I see the all details in nature and in my life, and it's so nice, like flying away and to look on everything from another perspective, like from the bird's view, but always keep the focus on my goals, and to be guided from your heart. And it's
she's lost for words.
But
so let me use this gap to so I look out over a little park, and also a sports field, and there's a certain time of the year, actually just around the end of March, early April, when the bunnies appear. So, which is great, because this now brings us to the overarching project, the Circle of Being, and Anna's bunnies. And bunnies lead us wonderfully to Easter, because you can't talk about spring without talking about Easter. And also, just as a little reminder, because I find this so fascinating, how our Christian, when I'm talking European Christian rituals or festivals, are filled with pagan symbolic. So, unless you are from a very firm Christian background, and you know much more about what Easter is. Like, you know, it's the suffering of Christ and he gets nailed to the cross. I mean, when you look at Easter just from our everyday setting, Easter is about Easter bunnies, it's chocolate, it's Easter egg hunts, it's decorated eggs, it's willow branches, it has nothing to do with poor Christ getting nailed to the cross and taking all of our sufferings with him. Instead, we decorate our home with colour. We're all happy because we can go outside, and but Easter is actually, from a Christian tradition, it's the most important holy festival. It's even more important than Christmas. But we fill it in our homes and in our culture of today. We fill it with symbols of fertility. The eggs, the bunnies, they are all rituals taken from the pagan Samhain, which is the important Celtic and pagan festival celebrating the beginning of summer on May 1st. Now, obviously, Easter mostly falls into April, but we mustn't be so, the calendars have changed and things like that. So it's more about that Samhain, which we talk about then more when we talk about in our summer podcast, is a really super important pagan festival about procreation, not recreation. Well, it's also recreation, but it's procreation. Yeah. It's very sexual and lustful and creating new life and being exceedingly fertile. And so to make Easter or to have the people, ages ago accept Easter as a new festival, obviously all that symbolism was taken with it. And nowadays, in our more consumer-led times and culture, it's what's reflected. It's like with Halloween. Funnily enough, we've reintroduced a lot of this symbolism because it sells very easily. You can sell chocolate Easter bunnies and you can sell chocolate eggs, but we don't actually know why we do this anymore. But it's such an ancient tradition, and that I just find fascinating.
It is fascinating, absolutely.
You mentioned earlier about you remembered something about decorating certain Easter eggs in Poland with...
Yeah, because it was also in Poland. We have also, especially before the days before Easter, we have really fasting time. And this time also we prepare the Polish, the traditional Polish Easter eggs dyed in onion shells, and I draw the patterns on the eggs, and it actually, when I think about it, it's also a very special time for me, because in my art, the whole idea of Silk of Being started with a bunny. And when I think about my painting, it's also about patterns and about new beginnings and being here now. And there are many associations to this time. It's nice to have the feeling that you have the roots somewhere.
Yeah. I really like Easter. It's one of my favorite holy days, and whether you equate it with our religion, Christian traditions, or if we equate it with the traditions that we know in the family, but there was always also on Good Friday you eat fish, and then you bake a proper Easter a yeast loaf or hot cross buns in England. So every country has its traditions. And you go out, because mostly it's about going outside, and you hide Easter eggs somewhere. And I remember my father, he did fantastic Easter egg hunts for me, and also then for my brothers later on, we would get a piece of paper and we would have to go out of the house and we'd have to walk 4 steps into the west direction, and we'd have to turn to the left, and we'd have to skip 6 steps to the right, and then we'd have to run somewhere, and then we'd have to look behind a bush and there was an egg, and so we had these elaborate Easter eggs.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was really fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Or I remember my uncle. It was a warm Easter many years ago when my cousins were still little, and he would throw around, like, you know, hide about 6 Easter eggs, and then his girls would go running, collect them, bring them back to him, and the same Easter eggs he would hide again, and by the end of the day they were all soggy and melted and sticking chocolate everywhere.
So cool.
Oh dear. But this brings us back to air, the element of air.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we were talking earlier, what does spring imply? And in a sense, air implies very much the same. Communication, especially. Communication, movement, being outdoors, creativity. And like you said earlier, like flying, you mentioned earlier when we were talking.
Yeah, and air is also space to breathe, and it's you clearly see your personal limitations. You notice all of everything would keep you imprisoned and holding you back from joy and fulfillment. And you can look beyond the daily routines, let go, freeing yourself from old patterns, and just be in the moment, because everything that we have in this moment is actually air. Air is everywhere at all times, and it has a deep connection from individual to collective. So it's actually something what really connects all us together, to all creatures and plants, and
We breathe.
We breathe, and it's everything connected at the same time. And this is so special at this element with air. It's really, this is something what connects everything. Everything is one, actually.
Well, I guess with all elements, but air in particularly, because we all breathe. And it's such it's a funny element, air, because I don't mind light winds and I don't mind some breezes, but we've had a lot of storms, also like really hefty storms. And I was walking through the woods just last Sunday, and the damage you see. I mean, it is incredible. It's like somebody played Mikado with the woods. They are like twisted. You know, the force of the wind, of the storm, is so horrific that it can twist trees. You know, if you imagine the noise that would have created, you know, and the damage, it's like very vicious in a sense. And it's I don't really like walking in too strong winds. It makes me, you know, I don't like it. It's something about air sometimes that I don't. I personally have a bit of an issue with, because it makes me too confused.
I can really understand it, because I can remember when I was in France and Provence, and we had it was the beginning of Mistral. And we had every night, it was so windy, and the sound, it was, after 1 week, it makes you crazy. It was like this kind of sound what you can get out of your mind. It was, you had it all the time. It was so something, and of course it was also physically, because it was quite strong. It was not only the sound, you have seen the destruction and everything. And before yesterday, I'm working on a new project, and I prepare, I don't know how is it in English, it's dummy, and it was like a big plane, 2 and 3 meter, and it will be a print for outside, for outdoor. And I wanted to see how the size work in the public space, but it was quite windy. And it was so difficult. We were fighting with the wind, and I needed to destroy also my canvas or my print in the middle, because it was too strong.
Yeah.
And with the destruction, with some
like holes.
like holes in the middle,
Yeah.
it was okay. You could control it, but actually also air is an element where you have no control.
No.
You can't do anything.
It comes from all directions.
Yeah,
Yes.
it goes in every direction. It comes from every directions,
Yeah.
and you have
zero.
You have zero. It doesn't work.
No.
I mean, the only thing what really works is to breathe, and this is also what we always forget to do properly.
To breathe.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. We totally do. So how about from our lovely card deck, which we've spoken so much about, but it's coming together. Why don't you pick a number between 1 and 11?
I would like to pick the number 11.
11. So that's the Wheel of Fortune. Surrender to the flow of life and sail with ease through troubled as well as calm waters. And your affirmation is, I am completely at ease, all is taken care of.
Oh, that's nice.
It is. And I am picking number 6. And number 6 is happiness.
Ooh.
Accept happiness and good fortune. And my affirmation is, I rejoice in the lightness of my being.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
It is. It is. And as an end note, I wanted to read something to you all about winter and now moving into spring. And it goes as follows. We are full of anticipation and hope. It is now time to leave winter behind us and spring forth into action. However beautiful it is to rest within Mother Earth, to slumber and dream of what lies ahead, there comes a time when we need to once again go forth for our ideas which we have sown to grow roots and for us to burst into life with renewed vigour. We thank Mother Earth with all our heart, and thus we clamber forth and stretch our limbs, rub our eyes, stand tall, breathe deeply, feel the breeze of inspiration and the wind of change. We skip and run, free and wild. Brimful, we step forth boldly and walk onwards filled with a renewed sense of self-purpose. I love that we skip and run wild. And you can skip again now too.
Oh,
So we can both skip and run wild.
let's go.
Let's go.
Directly into action.
Exactly.
Yoo-hoo! Okay, so thank you, Sabina. It was such a nice conversation. I am so happy. It was lovely. And see you in the summertime.
See you in the summertime. Bye.
Bye.